garbage time. So, I want to implore you right now to subscribe to the Louie T Network if you haven't already done so. Hit that notification bell so you don't miss a thing. And also hit the like button. It's 130 of you out there. Only 45 likes. Why do I have to beg you guys every single time? Hit the like button, man. Show some support. Thank you. So the Hall of Fame class of 2021 was announced on the Super Bowl weekend, as it always did. They had the NFL Honor Show, and during that show, we find out the newest members of the Hall of Fame. 8 names have been picked. Thus, they will be enshrined and forever illuminated in Canton. I want to start by saying this. The NFL Hall of Fame, we had this discussion last year, or it might have been 2 years ago, when Deion said, hey, they just letting anybody in. This shit is really watered down. It is. I believe that. Of all the Hall of Fames, I think the NFL's Hall of Fame is the most watered down. However, unlike baseball or basketball, there are more players that play. So it makes sense that more guys are going to get in. But I just wanted to bring up that baseball had their Hall of Fame voting just this past month or so. I think it was at the end of January. Nobody got in. 0. They're like, hey, don't worry. We still didn't actually honor our 2020 class with Jeter and all those guys. So we'll do that for the 2021 class. We don't have anybody for that. Okay. Cool. I think baseball's got the purest Hall of Fame. The purest. They don't just let anybody in. Like, you really gotta have a Hall of Fame career. You could be like Terrell Davis. Love Terrell Davis. He's not a Hall of Fame player. A guy that's on this list that I'm about to read to you, not a Hall of Fame player. He may ultimately get it. He's not a Hall of Fame player. He didn't play long enough. Terrell Davis didn't play long enough. He's not a Hall of Fame player. Sorry. Not sorry. But the NFL just be letting dudes in because they like them. So 15 finalists were listed, and of the 15, 5 were selected. Let's run through this list quickly and talk about the 5 guys that got it. So the 15 finalists reads as follows: Jared Allen, Rondé Barber, Tony Boselli, Leroy Butler, Alan Faneca, Tory Holt, Calvin Johnson, Heavens to Muggletron. I just had to do that. Don't get to do it anymore. John Lynch, Peyton Manning, Clay Matthews, Sam Mills, may he rest in peace, Richard Seymour, Zach Thomas, Reggie Wayne, Charles Woodson. Those were your 15 finalists. Of that group of 15, 5 got in. Alan Faneca, famed Pittsburgh Steelers guard, 6-time All-Pro. He deserves to get in. Heavens to Muggletron! Calvin Johnson, first ballot Hall of Famer. Should he have been first ballot? I usually gauge Hall of Famers on, when I watched him, did I say, that dude's definitely a Hall of Famer when he's done? I said that when Calvin Johnson, even though he finished early, left a little bit of a bitter taste in my mouth, not gonna lie. But the body of work, the man almost had 2,000 yards in one season receiving. First ballot, I think he deserves it. I thought about it long and hard. He was the most dominant receiver in the league when he played, and it was hands down. John Lynch. I really like John Lynch. When his career was done, I'm like, I don't really think you're a Hall of Famer, dude. I think you're a really good player. You know, I think sometimes I don't really respect the safety position the way that I should. Like, in terms of the value of what these guys mean. Because I didn't think Brian Dawkins at one point was a Hall of Famer. I was like, Brian Dawkins was a hell of a football player. Weapon X, he'd come out, he'd yell, he'd scream, he'd do all of this shit. It was Brian Dawkins. He was good. He'd safety blitz, he'd strip you. Yeah. But then I'd listen to people and they're like, oh, Brian Dawkins, he was the man. And I'm like, really? I always thought he was pretty damn good. I kind of felt the same way about John Lynch. I think of Hall of Fame safeties, I think of Ed Reed. I think of guys like that. But I guess enforcers, hard hitters, guys that could do a little bit of everything, make plays on the football too. There's a place in Canton for them as well. John Lynch probably deserves to get in. Hey, man. Is there even a discussion to be had here? Like, I feel like I'd just be talking just because I like to hear myself talk. Charles Woodson. At one point of his career, his reputation, I thought, far outseated the level of play we were actually getting on the field, especially towards the end of his tenure in Oakland. Like, he was going to Pro Bowls, and I'm like, Charles Woodson isn't all that good. You do know this, right? It wasn't until he got to Green Bay where he started doing shit, where you go, oh, that's why you won the Heisman Trophy back in Michigan. Didn't know you could do that. Starts picking shit off, starts punching the ball out, forcing fumbles. He was a big part of the reason that Aaron Rodgers has a Super Bowl. I told you that I don't care how elite your quarterback is, if you don't play defense, you're not going to win. Which is why I've been telling Washington fans, you must build this defense. Rodgers doesn't have a Super Bowl if guys like Charles Woodson aren't making plays back in 2011. The 2010 season, but they won the Super Bowl in 2011. He was outstanding, man. He was forcing fumbles. He was picking shit off. Then I thought what cinched it for him, he makes the transition to safety, and he's just as good a safety as he was. Like, most guys don't have that second act, like a Rod Woodson, who makes the switch from corner to safety and is just as good, if not better, at safety than he was corner. Most guys can't do that. We talk about it all the time. Oh, he was such a good corner, we should move him to safety. Not everybody can do that. Ronnie Lott did it. Charles Woodson did it. Rod Woodson did it. It's a very select group of guys that made the switch from elite corner to elite safety. Woodson did that. And when he did that, I said, if there was any doubt, that doubt has been put to rest. He's a Hall of Fame. He deserved to go. First ballot? Yeah. I think it's a prestigious group. You know, last year's group, I was like, I mean, I think that's what prompted Deion to make the statement that he did. Last year's group was really, really lackluster, man. I remember sitting here and saying, what is this? What the hell is this? What are we doing? What are we doing? I think all five of these guys belong in the Hall of Fame. And then Drew Pearson's, I'm going to stop. Drew Pearson got in, famed Cowboys wide receiver, the original 88. Bill Nunn, longtime Steelers scout, who was very impactful and influential in them winning all those Super Bowls in the 70s and really constructing that team. He's getting some love. And Tom Flores, who I thought was criminal that he wasn't already in the Hall of Fame. The man has won 4 Super Bowls, 3 as an NFL head coach. How many 3-time Super Bowl winning head coaches are not in the Hall of Fame? I'll wait for that list. Because there aren't any. Okay? What the hell took them so long to get? I'm glad he's alive. Like, get people their flowers while they can still smell them. Don't wait till the guy dies. It took a damn Bud Light Seltzer commercial to get him a damn Hall of Fame jacket. It's bullshit. I'm glad he's getting in, though. Let's look at the guys that didn't get it, that were finalists. What do you feel about Jared Allen? The Cowboy was pretty damn good, man. And when you look at his sack numbers, and where he finished up in his career, I think he's going to probably get in, and he probably should. He was dominant. There were stretches there where Jared Allen was putting up 15 and 18 and 7, like consistently big boy numbers getting to the quarterback. Rondé Barber has been and always will be a Hall of Famer for me. A part of so many exclusive clubs. He's a part of like the, 40-40 club, 40 sacks, 40 interceptions, some crazy. I mean, he to me was the epitome of, again, making the jump from corner to safety. Rondé Barber was excellent. Love him. Should be a Hall of Fame. I thought he should have got in already, honestly. Tony Boselli is not a Hall of Fame football player, people. He's not. Abbreviated career. He was dominant for a short stretch. I don't give a shit how dominant you are. If you don't play long enough, and I guess you could kind of go with the Gale Sayers. It was a different time. Gale Sayers was just different. He should be in. Tony Boselli should not get into the Hall of Fame. I'm afraid he's going to get in eventually. Joe Jacoby is 10 times better than Tony Boselli. If Joe Jacoby is not in the Hall of Fame, Tony Boselli's ass better not get in. Leroy Butler, again, another really good player, but is he a Hall of Famer? I didn't watch Leroy Butler's career and walk away saying, he's a Hall of Famer. I said, he's a really good football player. Oh, really? You remember Darren Sharper? You remember him? Nobody wants to talk about him because he did some really nasty shit. He's like Bill Cosby Jr. out here drugging females, and he's got this ring all across the United States where he's drugging females and having sex with them. So nobody wants to talk about Darren Sharper. He was a hell of a football player, though. Darren Sharper was a hell of a football player for 3 different organizations: Green Bay, Minnesota, and New Orleans. It's a hell of a football player. Nobody wants to talk about him because he did some nasty shit. I get it. Leroy Butler and Darren Sharper are like in the same kind of category for me. Really good football players. Not Hall of Fame. Not Hall of Fame. Tory Holt. He'll get it. He'll get it. I struggle with the Rams receivers from the Greatest Show on Turf because they weren't flashy. I felt like they were system receivers. Like if you took them and you put them somewhere else, they wouldn't have been as dominant. That's probably total bullshit. It's just me in my mind making shit up because I didn't want them in. Isaac Bruce and Tory Holt are Hall of Fame wide receivers. I think Bruce has already gotten in. Holt's going to get in, and he should probably get in. There were some massive years in there, and he did it for a long time. Not as long as Isaac Bruce, but I think Tory Holt's going to get in eventually. Clay Matthews, can't really speak to that. Didn't see his career. I can't really say if he should or shouldn't get in. I'll leave that for someone much older than me. Sam Mills, I did see the tail end of his career, and he was damn good. He was a part of that Saints defense with Pat Swelling and Johnson and the Dome Patrol is what they called them. That was one of the best nicknames in NFL history, the Dome Patrol. Oh man, they were good. Sam Mills was a part of it. For the first time, I think 4 linebackers from the same team made it to the Pro Bowl. How does that happen? They were that good. Damn Dome Patrol. I used to love Pat Swelling too. Man, they were good. And Sam Mills was like he was like the heartbeat of that defense in New Orleans. Finished up his career in Carolina. He was a good football player. Really good football player. Undersized, but just found his way to the football. Relentless. They got the statue of him in Carolina. Keep pounding. That's their moniker. If nothing else, he should just get in off the strength of who he was. But this is about who he was as a player, and he was a damn good football player. I think he'll ultimately get in. Here's another name that I may be tripping off of. And somebody will say, Louie T, you're wrong. Flat out wrong, dead ass wrong. That might be the case. But this is how. Richard Seymour is not a Hall of Famer. I'm sorry. I never, and I know he was dominant at times for the Patriots. I never once looked at Richard Seymour, and I don't give a shit how dominant he was in New England or how good he was stopping the run. I never looked at Richard Seymour and said, he's a Hall of Famer, man. This guy is dominant. He is just a havoc wreaker. He's tearing shit up in the middle of the defense. No, he was really good. And he was an anchor for that defense. So good, in fact, that the Patriots decided to trade him 2 years before he was out of his prime to the Raiders. Miss me with Richard Seymour as a Hall of Famer. I just don't see it. I'm sorry. And I'm pretty sure I'll go look at his numbers. And he's got way more sacks than I thought. And he's right up there with some of the guys that I hold in high regard, like John Randall and some of these other guys that have gotten in as interior defensive linemen. I'm pretty sure I'll go look, and he's only 8 sacks behind John Randall. And I'll be like, well, a lot different than I thought. I don't recall a double-digit sack season for Richard Seymour. You know what? I'm actually really interested now to see what his career stats were and what he ended up doing. Because I don't think there was a double-digit sack season in here. And again, it's not all about sacks. I say that all the time, but let's see. I could be wrong. The highest total he had in his career was an 8-sack season. It wasn't all about sacks, and I tell you that all the time. If you're just basing it off of sacks and you're not watching, I know he was dominant in the run game. At times he was unblockable, but I never got the sense that this guy is a Hall of Famer. I just didn't. 57.5 career sacks. That wasn't his game, though. He wasn't, sacks wasn't who he was. Like if you're a Steelers fan, Cam Hayward is a guy that you probably say, hey, he should deserve some Hall of Fame notoriety when he gets done. Let's take a look at Cam Hayward, because I think he's trending in that direction. Another 3 or 4 strong seasons for Cam Hayward to finish up his career. And I'm like, hey, Cam Hayward's a Hall of Famer for me. Let's look at his numbers. Because I've had Steelers fans say, well, he's a run stopper. Any sacks he gets, added benefit. I guarantee you there's 1 or 2 double-digit sack seasons in here for Cam Hayward's ass. I guarantee you that. Let's go look at it. And you know what? I bet you he's probably already exceeded 57.5 sacks. That's just a guess. I could be wrong. He might not be a big sack guy. Let's look at his numbers. Well, what do you know? Cam Hayward has 58 sacks in his career. Look at that. Or as my son would say, look at that. Look at that. He has a 9-sack season, which was just 2 years ago, an 8-sack season, which preceded the 9-sack season, and then he has a 12-sack season, which preceded the 8-sack season. Now, he only had 4 this past year, but there were dominant seasons in here from a sack perspective, and we know what he is as a run defender. To me, he's more of a Hall of Fame player, and he's not done yet. He's not done. He's going to end up with 60-some-odd sacks, maybe even 70 if he has another 8-9 sack season in him. He might end up with 70-plus sacks. He looks more like a Hall of Famer than Richard Seymour. I'm sorry, Richard Seymour not a Hall of Fame player. I'm sorry, he's not. Zach Thomas. Love me some Zach Thomas. Is Zach Thomas really a Hall of Fame player? I struggle with this because I don't think he's a Hall of Fame player. I think he's a really good linebacker. A really good linebacker. Just like London Fletcher is a really good linebacker. I don't think London Fletcher is a Hall of Fame linebacker. I'm sorry. Washington fans out there, London Fletcher should be an Hall. No, he shouldn't. No, he shouldn't. London Fletcher is a really good player. Zach Thomas is a really good player. They're not Hall of Famers. I'm sorry. You can't let everybody in because you had fond memories of them in their playing careers. Or you can't let a guy in just because you remembered him playing. That's not how this works. Reggie Wayne. Is he a Hall of Famer? The answer is yes. One of the greatest number 2 wide receivers ever. Now, he got to spread his wings and become a number 1, and I actually thought he did a quality job of doing that, unlike Alvin Harper, who shit all over himself when he got the money to go to Tampa Bay and become a number 1. He was the best Robin that we've seen in the last 2 decades. There's something to be said about that. He's the equivalent of, not a good comp, because Marvin Harrison wasn't Michael Jordan. Neither was Peyton Manning, but he was like the equivalent of a Scottie Pippen. Reginald Wayne's numbers are there. He was dominant as a number 2. He was really good as a number 1. He'll get in. And I feel like he shouldn't have been a first ballot. I don't know if this was his first time on the ballot or his second. He'll get in. He deserves to get in. But that's the list. 8 guys in all. Alan Faneca deserves it. Calvin Johnson, heavens, the Megatron, deserves it. John Lynch, guess he should get in. Peyton Manning deserves it. Charles Woodson deserves it. Drew Pearson, Bill Nunn, Tom Flores, all veterans that got in as well to round out the group. I find this very interesting. Every year when the Hall of Fame class is announced, this is going to be one of the most prestigious classes in recent memory. We've had some really good ones go in, but last year's left a lot to be desired. This one is going to be an outstanding one, to say the least, with some big names like Megatron, Peyton Manning, and Charles Woodson. So, Louie.